He doesn't apologize. He doesn't contextualize it. He doesn't say anything is wrong that he ever does. And then you're surprised that people come at him and to say that it's overreaction? It's nonsense. It's
no,
political malpractice in the main.
At all. I'm actually not surprised at all.
Mean-spirited, it's dark, and it's ugly. And everybody knows it.
Things got tense between Chris Cuomo and MAGA commentator Katie Pavlich when the topic of Trump's racism came up on air. What followed was a genuinely intense back and forth, with Pavlich scrambling to defend him at every turn. Let's break down the exchange together, clip by clip, and I'll share my perspective once we've gone through it.
Host of Katie Pavlich tonight, Katie herself. Good to have you. Happy Friday.
Hey, Chris. Thank you for having me. Good to see you. Happy Friday.
What does this mean? Not so much the monkey business. What does this intense messaging that the elections were rigged mean about the disposition towards the midterms for the administration?
Well, first, I think it's really important to point out that the outrage over the depiction at the end of a scroll video, which then automatically went to another video, was not vindictive in nature. Was it a mistake? Yes. Did it cause a problem for the White House all day today? Yes. Is the president upset about it? And there's new reporting out tonight that there are a number of White House staffers who are upset that this occurred because of the narrative all day was not on the fact that last night President Trump announced Trump RX, which means that medication prices are going to go down for Americans because Europeans now are going to pay their fair share when it comes to investment in drugs and the ROD that comes into the research of those drugs. We're not going to be subsidizing Europeans anymore for our medication. They're not talking about the Dow that hit an all-time high today. They had that press conference from the Department of Justice by Benghazi, exactly, where they brought justice after 14 years for 4 Americans who were killed in that attack. And so, yes, it was not handled the best way. They should have immediately investigated it and realized that it was an automatic scroll into a video, which, as you did play, depicted a number of people and animals. Is it silly? Yes. But was it vindictive, and does it classify the president of the United States as a racist? No. And I think if you look at his policies, people in his cabinet, the people who have visited the White House, including Nicki Minaj recently, to call him a racist or to imply that he is one based on that video is very disingenuous and lacking context.
Well, too bad. Because let me tell you something. If you don't want somebody to call you that, then you don't do things like this. He didn't show Biden and everybody else. They just showed the Obama part. So it doesn't matter what it clicks and scrolls to.
But they didn't do it on purpose,
is an unforced
Chris,
error.
Which is the issue. It is an unforced error, but that's very different than being vindictive about it and doing it on purpose. It is an unforced error.
Well, what
it's
good?
very
Give me a
different
good
than
reason.
Purposely clipping it to show that.
Well, first of all, it was absolutely purposely clipped to show the Obama part. It was just part of a much bigger video. That's not the beginning. Well, it's not the beginning of the video.
It was an automatic scroll.
It's not the first thing you would see.
It was an automatic, right, because it's the end of the video, which automatically scrolled into the next video. That's what happened.
Oh, no, I know. I understand how buffering and queuing works. What I'm saying is somebody made a choice.
It wasn't a vindictive portrayal of the Obamas.
You call it what you want.
And what happened...
Let me tell you something. If I do something like that, if I did that, first of all, I'd probably get fired. But if I did that, guess what people would call me? A bigot. You know why? That's a bigoted thing to put out. That's why. And we both know it.
I agree, Chris. I agree with you that if they purposely only clipped this portion on purpose, it would be bigoted. It would be disgusting. But they didn't purposely clip this portion on purpose. It was part of another video that got scrolled into automatically after they were portraying the other video, which is the one they were clipping for the feed. They didn't watch it all the way to the end. So there's a difference between vindictively clipping a video to show the Obamas this way, which is not what happened. It was an automatic scroll to a video which depicts a whole bunch of other politicians in these ridiculous animal costumes. Is that silly politics? Yes, but to argue it was done because President Trump is a racist and to portray the Obamas this way purposely,
I'm not arguing that he is a racist. I'm not saying he's a racist. I'm saying listen, Katie, words matter. Context matters, as you say. You want the defense of it, use it as a sword and a shield. So if you do something like this, this is a racist thing to do. It doesn't mean you're a racist necessarily, but what you did invites the racism, okay? And what's more important is, you know what I do if I did this by mistake? You know what you do if you did this by mistake? You say, I'm sorry. That's what you say, because you are mortified. You are mortified. Not him. Not him. I did nothing wrong. I have nothing to apologize for. I don't care if you're offended. And then Katie, and then Levitt comes out there, bloodlessly and says, oh, this is all on you, fake outrage. Senator Tim Scott didn't think that. Is he a dope?
Well, Chris, the best thing for them to do was to say, this was a mistake. This was not done on purpose. Yep. Here's the full video that was scrolled into the previous video that was being posted by a staffer on the president's True Social account. That's not what they did. And then it caused a problem for them all day long. But again, I'm very glad you just showed the full context of the video, which portrays a number of politicians in animal costumes. So not sure how you can make the case that it was only racist against 2 people portrayed in the video and not the rest of them portrayed in the video.
Okay, if you want it to be disgusting and prejudicial towards everybody, I'll concede the point. Let me ask you something else.
It's racist against Trump to say he's a lion costume? I mean, this doesn't make any sense.
I genuinely don't understand the level of hostility coming from Katie Pavlich here, especially when Trump is constantly throwing around the phrase nasty women. If he's aiming that at people like AOC or Caitlin Collins, those are women who carry themselves with actual integrity. Katie Pavlich, on the other hand, fits that description perfectly. What she's doing isn't commentary, it's straight propaganda, and at some point she needs to just own that. Here's the truth MAGA won't say out loud. This is exactly what they signed up for. It's the whole owning the libs appeal. Trump isn't operating like a traditional politician, and that's precisely the draw for his base. So spare us the mental gymnastics, the it autoplayed, the it was accidental. All of it. This isn't a one-off. Remember the Harry Sisson clip, the one showing waste being dumped from a plane? That's a pattern, not a mistake, whether it's Trump himself or whoever's running his accounts. And MAGA eats it up every single time. So instead of the usual spin, Katie Pavlich should just say what she actually believes. That none of them care how it lands with the left, that watching liberals get angry is the entire point, and that's exactly why they support him. That's the honest version of events. But of course, MAGA can't ever just say that plainly. No, your comparison doesn't hold up here at all. This is a straightforward fact. You're just deflecting, basically doing the I know you are, but what am I routine, and that's exactly what's happening in this exchange. Where's the actual pattern you're referring to? I understand you need some kind of moral high ground to claim this reaction is exaggerated, but that responsibility falls on him. He never apologizes, never explains himself, never acknowledges when something he's done is wrong. So it shouldn't be shocking when people push back and you call that an overreaction. It isn't one. This is political self-sabotage, plain and simple, and frankly, I'm not even surprised anymore. It's calculated, it's ugly, and everyone watching knows it. Let's move past this part. I wasn't surprised this happened today either. I said from the start it should have been handled better. The backlash wasn't unexpected to me. But if you look at the entire situation, it wasn't done out of malice. Katie, you're welcome to say that. But unless you actually know the full story behind how it happened, that's just an assumption dressed up as certainty.
No, but your rationale, your analogy makes no sense. Again, this is a very simple fact.
Your analogy makes no sense.
At the core of all this is something Katie Pavlich will never say out loud, because her role here is spin, not honesty. Trump's presidency is falling apart by the numbers. His approval ratings are on track to be some of the worst ever recorded, sitting in the 30s now, and there's a real possibility they slide into the 20s before his term wraps up, especially with this pointless war dragging on. Chris Cuomo does push back on her fairly firmly in this segment. I actually have another video on my channel where he challenges her so hard she nearly broke down, furious that anyone would dare question Trump. That said, in this particular clip, I wanted Cuomo to go even further, to just say it directly. Katie, you're not being honest here. Call it what it actually is. This is a man who shares racist content, offensive memes, and inflammatory videos because he knows it gets a reaction out of people he considers opponents. He was never interested in bringing the country together. His pattern is tearing people down, the Obamas included, people he's clearly resentful of. And Katie Pavlich won't admit any of that. Instead, she reaches for it was a mistake, when it's obvious to anyone paying attention that it wasn't accidental at all. It reflects exactly what he believes. Still, credit where it's due. I appreciate that Cuomo doesn't let her off easy here, even if I wanted him to press even harder. So tell me what you think. Do you agree that Katie Pavlich comes across as genuinely nasty in this exchange? And should Cuomo have gone even further in calling her out? Drop your thoughts below. I'm Dre of Report Fact, and I'll catch you in the next video.